We have details of these stories and many more lined up. Do stay with us. Let's start with our stories now. And the Ghana Highways Authority has warned institutions and companies building concrete culverts to serve as driveways to their offices along the Accra-Tema motorway to stop or be prosecuted. The Greater Accra Regional Director, Lawrence Lamte, who gave the warning, said the practice is a clear violation of the law.
The 19.4-kilometer Accra-Tema motorway serves as a major transit point to the industrial hub of Ghana. Manufacturing companies along the motorway have constructed huge culverts to provide entry and exit points. This culvert, constructed at KICC, leads to Metalix. The company, according to Ghana Highway Authority, has been cautioned.
This is unauthorized, this is illegal, and it's unapproved. And because the channel is small, anytime it rains, the water will spill over onto the motorway and there'll be flooding. We are written to them, they haven't stopped. They've gone ahead to pile up boulders and then added crash rock. And we are giving notice that we'll come and break it up.
A few kilometers from KICC is this illegal access route, also constructed by another company. In some instances, the Ghana Highways Authority's road crashes have been destroyed, paving way for the illegality. At Klagon, the officials said they had warned workers at this construction site to stop the practice, but the workers would fill the route during the day and open it up at night to enable their vehicles tip sand at the site at night. Officials showed us this detour on the motorway, which is a properly engineered road.
This, for example, goes all into Community 18 and beyond. So if you want to enter or you want to exit, you come through this way and off you go. So no one is allowed to construct by himself or herself his or her own access. It must be properly engineered by the relevant authority. Safety-wise, it is very, very unsafe for motorists to enter and exit the motorway through the right channels.
The practice, according to the authority, results in loss of revenue at the toll booths.
And let's move on to other stories. Former Vice President Pakwesi Amissah Arthur will be laid to rest this weekend, and the funeral rite starts tomorrow. My colleague Kwabena Edujemfi is at the conference center where the funeral will be taking place, and he's going to tell us a lot more about the preparations, what he's gathered, and what's happening now. So shortly, Kwabena Edujemfi will be joining us live from the conference center to give us updates. But remember, you're still watching Media Live with me, Wendy Lai. You can send your comments on our social media platforms. Facebook and Twitter is Newzone TV3. Let's get to Kwabena shortly to give us the updates from the conference center. Over to you, Kwabena.
It speaks is the fact that it is time for mourning, and that is exactly what these canopies here at the Accra International Conference Center are currently telling us. And all these canopies are part of preparations ahead of the final funeral rite of our late former Vice President Pakwesi Amissah Arthur. And of course, since it is state funeral, the colors red, yellow and green cannot be left out, and those are the colors that represent us as a nation. Of course, you've seen that a lot of chairs have already been arranged there for visitors and guests who will be coming around. In a very short while, I will be taking you inside the foyer of the Accra International Conference Center to find out exactly how far preparations are going on there. But before we do that, let me quickly engage a member of the planning committee, Ofosu Ampofo, to find out from him how far preparations have gone apart from what we've seen here at the Accra International Conference Center. Good afternoon and welcome to Midday Live on TV3.
Thank you and for the opportunity.
Okay, now tell us how far with preparations apart from what we are seeing here at the Accra International Conference Center.
Well, I am not the spokesperson for the planning committee, but since you just met me here, I am the link man between the party and the family and the state authorities in charge of this, because you know it's a state funeral that we are organizing. And so we have had series of meetings with the security agencies, the military, and other security agencies because of the state burial nature of the funeral. I can say that everything is on course. What we are left with, the arrangement that we are seeing here, at the foyer here, the body will be laid here tomorrow for public viewing. That will take place between 7 o'clock to the evening. And the general public is invited to come and view the body and then pay their last respect to our departed late Vice President. The memorial service itself, or the burial service itself, will be held inside the hall. The capacity of the hall, I understand, is just around 1,000. So it will be, the entry will be restricted, and those who have been invited are being given cards, and the cards will be the requirement for one to enter. Okay. But the arrangement have been done outside here, where giant screens will be placed at vantage points, and chairs and canopies have been provided, so that those who are unable to go inside, but who have been specially invited, will also come and be part of the process. After the burial service, when the body is taken out from here, I think they will go through some selected principal streets in Accra before finally they go to the...
Not to cut you in, but then the NDC as a party, is there any special arrangement at all as far as this particular event is concerned?
Well, the arrangement is that the NDC will be fully represented by the leadership of the party, the Council of Elders. Remember that the late Kwesi Amissah-Arthur, the former Vice President, was a member of the Council of Elders of the party. The Council of Elders will be represented. The whole National Executive Committee has been allotted a place, will be represented. All our regional executives will come. In fact, constituencies and others. For instance, tomorrow, at the 5 past, the rank and file of the party across the country who will be able to make it here will come and file past the body. Greater Accra, especially, which is the host region, a special arrangement for almost all the constituency executives and other members to also come in. So the party is participating fully in this. And again, after the burial has taken place, the main funeral will take place at the forecourt of the State House, and the party will also fully participate in the process. So I must say that at all facets of the program, the party is involved, even though it is a state funeral, because he belongs to the party and is a leading member of the party and has been our Vice President and current until he's there for a member of the Council of Elders. The party is very, very much actively involved in these processes.
All right, thank you very much. So we just spoke to a link between the party and the family as far as the final funeral rites of the late Vice President Kwesi Amissah-Arthur is concerned. So let me quickly take you inside the foyer of the Accra International Conference Center, where the body of the Vice President or the late Vice President will be laid in state for mourners to come and pay their last respect. And what I'm seeing here gives me an indication that, of course, that is where the coffin will be situated. And then, of course, these colors here, the red, yellow, green, are also represented here again because it's a state funeral. But then one particular thing that we should all be aware of is that it has already been announced that once you enter this particular space, no cameras are allowed in here. So based on what I'm seeing here and information we've gathered so far, I can confidently say that plans are far advanced for the final funeral rites of the late Vice President Kwesi Amissah-Arthur, and this has been a live broadcast from the Accra International Conference Center. My name is Kwabena Edu-Gyamfi, TV3.
Thank you very much indeed, Kwabena Edu-Gyamfi, for that update. You'll bring us some more in a subsequent bulletins. But still in relation to this story, on what you think, we've been finding out on the streets and asking Ghanaians what they think about the burial places of our heads of state.
Former Vice President Kwesi Amissah-Arthur will be laid to rest in 2 days at the Burma Camp Military Cemetery. Former Vice President Alhaji Aliyu Mahama was laid to rest in his hometown. Former President Atta Mills was laid to rest at the Asumdwe Park, which many are complaining is in deplorable state. Is it time to look into the creation of a common burial ground for presidents and vice presidents who pass? We find out today on What Do You Think?
For me, I believe for the public, it would be nice to have a place as such for our old leaders, but it also depends on their families. And we should also give them the liberty to choose where they want to bury their family members.
It should get a separate place. Like if you go to some towns, we have a special place where we buried our chiefs. So it should be happening to our president.
You have to get a museum place, like every president who will die, then they will send in there, so that it will make a uniform for all the president, the vice president. That is what I think.
It's a good idea. In future, it will be like a tourism listing for people to go and visit, like Nkrumah. People go there and see that this is where the first president was buried. So free from that, we had a common place. It will be good for us.
Atamos is government assets, state assets. So where we put him, we have to do the place nice for a future reference.
My opinion, it's a good idea. Say in a particular place, special place. Come we be sa two more and say we are this year more. Says in a special cemetery for the military officers. No, at Atamesa, AC and Wohona Sumbi House. No, me call no. To me no. Since then, me no see hobium. The minimum say Sisia and Sena or city. But I think Senka, Sena Musi Hono, ke fine, Akasano, Ebecosa, IBCC or more.
Away from this story, and member of the NDC legal team, Ibrahim Amaliba, has lashed out at the ruling NPP for its appointment of new members of the Electoral Commission, insisting the move is an abuse of power. The NPP, however, rejected the claim, noting that all the legal procedures were followed. They spoke on New Day after. That's earlier today.
Team of the NDC, Ibrahim Amaliba, maintained the ruling government could have filed for an abridgment of time for the matter to be heard before appointing a new EC boss and deputies.
Knowing very well that they talked to the Chief Justice, the AG can talk to the Chief Justice, was to ask for a short date quickly. They should quickly call the case and panel judges to deal with the matter if they so think that the appointment is so necessary.
However, the Member of Parliament for Nsamum Adoejiri, Frank Anodompre, disagreed.
I am saying that the president has not erred. Okay. From my understanding, he has his opinion. Let him keep his opinion, right. And he is also right to express him. But I'm saying that it is a court. Okay, no matter how right or wrong your opinion may seem to appear, it is the court that still has that sanctity of powers to pronounce on such matters. And unless the court pronounces, you cannot sit in the studio and say that the president is wrong.
He insisted the president, being a lawyer, did not err.
To some more stories, and the Gaming Commission of Ghana has confiscated and destroyed close to 200 slot machines in Accra. The move is part of a campaign to flush out all illegal operators from the system, as well as ensure that children of school-going age are kept in the classroom. Bright Jaka has more on the story.
These slot machines are fast becoming common in some major cities across the country. Children of school-going age engage in playing the game, using their feeding fees, and in the process spend many hours at these game centers, a situation that is negatively affecting the performance of these children at school. The Gaming Commission, under its anti-underage campaign, is clamping down on these unlicensed operators and also serve as disincentive for children who patronize them. The operation seized and destroyed about 200 of the machines. The Deputy Commissioner of the Gaming Commission of Ghana is Kobi Annan.
We have seized about 200 machines, as you can see, up to June. And then with the board's approval, we have to come and destroy them. It is our commitment to a reaffirmation that to protect children and the community at large from the activities of illegal operators. And that is why not only illegal operators, we have some registered operators who also expose these machines to children's patronage, which we really abhor. Our Act also abhors that.
The Commission explained it would not rest until all illegal operators are completely flushed out of the system. It is also in the process of collaborating with agencies like NCCE and GES to embark on an education across the country.
So let's do more on this story. And this afternoon in the studio, I do have Kobian, and he is the Deputy Commissioner of the Gaming Commission. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
And thanks for being here and agreeing to speak to us. Now, what exactly is the rationale behind this? But before you start, let me quickly take a viewers through some of the arrests you've done so far and what has happened thereafter. And in 2017, specifically last year, 619 illegal slot machines, that's for 8 centers, were closed down. That's the machine seized. And then in 2018, 560 illegal machines were seized for the first quarter. Right, so back in the studio, I mentioned earlier on that I do have Kobian, and he's the Deputy Commissioner of the Gaming Commission. Now, last year you did some activity, and then has the rationale changed in any way?
Not at all. The rationale is just our commitment as a the Commission's commitment to, and the reaffirmation to make sure that we sanitize the industry, and also to prevent illegal operators from exposing children to gaming, which our Act frowns upon.
Now, even before we look at the arrests so far, for the first quarter, you have 560 illegal machines seized.
Yes.
Did you see any change at all after the activity you engaged in last year?
Yes, after our operations in seizing, we also engage in perception survey and follow up with a survey to know what our actions will be. But still, we realize that though it's catching on slowly, and then we will need synergy between the media and then the public at large, and also the other law enforcement agency, to make sure that we achieve our aim. But it's going well, but it's quite slow. And of course, we can't cover every place at every time, so we have nationwide tours that we do, and I think this is where we make these arrests from other angles of other corners of the country. And
talking about arrests, some arrests were made last year.
Yes.
How many? And what has happened to it?
We have three arrests, so prosecution, 3 prosecution, including 2 foreign nationals and a native.
And it's still ongoing?
It's still ongoing. Of course, the axis of the law, we say grind slowly. Now we know we'll get there.
And you've done some seizure again. You've done first quarter. Now we're doing second quarter. Now, have you made some arrests so far as well?
No,
or when you went there, you didn't meet?
No, we act on tip-off, and we make sure that once we get them, we seize the machines. That's the first step that we do, and if possible, for most of the time they run away before we even get there.
What happens? How come they get that? You mentioned it's a tip-off, but I'm sure that if some measures are also put in place, they will be dealt with and arrested. Yeah, we do.
What happens is sometimes the moment you park your car or you get there, they said they all claim non-ownership. So but our interest is not to go for the culprits, but to make sure that we take it from the community to protect the children.
But before we talk about the school children, if you're not going up for the corporates and they indeed engage in these activities, they might definitely move somewhere else and still get these same machines.
Yeah, we target a whole range of people, operators operating this. But then we look more of those who are bringing in and those who are manufacturing. So it is our source, and we've been working with the BNI to give us the intelligence because they have the capacity to get those intelligence for us to get to know where these machines are coming from. But unfortunately, the operators, the roadside operators, are those that we always come in contact with, and they claim non-ownership. And some are also legal operators who also violate, expose it to put them at the wrong places, where unapproved places, and then we also seize them and then sanction them.
Now, one of the concerns you've raised has to do with school children. How disturbing is the situation, and what can be the way forward?
Yeah, it is very disturbing, and the Commission is very concerned because in a decent society, you have to make sure that your children are brought up decently. And we have these machines, the illegal machines, placed in unapproved areas, even to places of convenience where it's not approved. We say that we license these machines and we make sure that we tell them that to follow.
Highlights on the poor waste management at WA in the Upper West region.
This is the dumping site for WA Municipal Assembly. It is located right in the middle of 3 communities: Sirigiri, Zanko, and Wo, the suburb of WA West District in the Upper West region. This dumping site has posed danger to the lives of the people. When you go to their houses, you cannot eat. Flies will not allow you. Smoke, scent, even mosquitoes. And so it is more dangerous to live in this bola. We are calling on the municipal chief executive to relocate this bola for us. This is Saleh Ilyasu reporting from Siriri, WA West, in the Upper West region.
So remember, like Ilyasu has done, you can also send your video report via our WhatsApp platform on 05514330044. Again, 05514330044. This is still Midday Live. Thanks for staying. You're still watching Midday Live with me, Wendy Lai. To business now. And all commercial banks operating in Ghana have till December 2018 to increase their minimum operating capital to 400 million cedis. Failure to do so could result in a bank losing a license or have its status reduced. According to the Bank of Ghana, 15 banks out of the 34 are projected to meet the requirements by the deadline. So we ask, what is the state of the banking sector and how can banks keep afloat?
It's been 7 months into the year 2018 and the banking sector undoubtedly has been very eventful. The Bank of Ghana in March revealed a troubled financial sector, citing poor banking practices as one of the many causes. This was shortly after it announced the takeover of the management of Unibank, explaining that it was among measures to sanitize the banking sector.
Data that we have seen through shows that we are with a banking sector that is still reeling under the pressure of weak asset quality.
Well, the banks have performed as much as they can, although not too much to expectation, because they have been preoccupied with finding this 400 million recapitalization.
Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, said the bank adjudged sixth best performing company in Ghana at the Ghana Club 100 Awards in 2017, provided inaccurate data during the central bank's efforts to resolve the problems last year. Unibank is said to have persistently suffered liquidity shortfalls and consistently breached its cash reserve requirement.
You see, we have a very diverse market. You know, we have about 36 banks. But if you take your top 15, top 16 banks, they account for more than 80% of the financial activity. And those top 15 banks are all very sound.
Last year, Capital Bank and UT Bank suffered similar fates when the Bank of Ghana announced state-owned Ghana Commercial Bank as a new owner of the two private banks. The development, coupled with reported cases of Ponzi schemes operated by some microfinance institutions, is said to be affecting confidence in the banking sector.
It's all because of the uncertainty that is presently in the market. That uncertainty, the main source is this recapitalization. Will my bank be able to meet it? Won't it be able to meet it?
Many have therefore called on the Bank of Ghana to, as a matter of urgency, name and shame distressed banks.
I'm expecting that on Monday the governor will tell us in no uncertain terms the state of affairs of each of the 34 banks.
Others, however, disagree.
I think if it comes to the broader economy, the central bank must always look at the banking sector as an industry, because we are very intertwined in the way we do business. So whilst a client might think that I have an account with bank A, whatever one bank does, impacts the system. That's what we call systemic risk.
Another headache for the banking sector has been growing non-performing loans.
If you look at a year ago, the NPLs of the banking industry was about 19.8% of total loans and advances. As at April this year, the NPLs has increased to 23%.
We are very worried because, as I said, we are very collegiate, we are very systemically integrated. So non-performing assets would mean that some loans and advances we've given are not coming back, it could be due to all sorts of reasons, but they are non-performing.
There's therefore a mounting pressure on the Bank of Ghana to enforce its many directives to restore sanity into the banking sector.
That subsector is very critical to the real economy, because this is the sector that oils the real sector in terms of providing funding for private sector investment. And so if this sector does not recover quickly, sustainable growth may be undermined.
From raising the new minimum capital requirement of 400 million cedis by December 31 to addressing the increasing non-performing loans to bracing up for the challenges mobile money services pose, commercial banks here in Ghana would have to necessarily innovate in order to keep afloat. Until that is done, analysts fear the next half of the year is likely to see a further drop in performance of the sector. For TV3, Etonam say.
More business stories. An Industrial and Commercial Workers Union, ICU, has pleaded with government not to wean itself totally from the IMF or risk losing technical advice from them. General Secretary Solomon Kutey is of the view the IMF intervention has stabilized Ghana's economy and streamlined government expenditure.
The General Secretary of ICU was reacting to media reports which suggest that government should stay away from the IMF after it exits from its program this year. But the General Secretary Solomon Kutey asked government not to wean itself off totally from the IMF after it has ended the program. He argued to stay off the IMF could affect Ghana's economic fortunes.
It is not totally right to say that we should never go back to the IMF again. Indeed, they don't only come with a bailout or with funding, they come with some technical advice. If you look at the assessment they do on our economy, you'll notice it is right. And therefore, if they have that objectivity to do such analysis on the economy and to help the incumbent government to know whether it's drifting towards the left or to the right or doing the wrong or the right thing, we think the IMF, so long as we are members, if there need be for us to go, we go, but we go with our homegrown solutions in our hands.
He again proposed to government to focus on the homegrown economic solutions to set the economy on sound footing.
Where they come to whichever country and then they begin to prescribe either more taxes, reduce government spending, reduce government recruitment, etc., etc. They are facts. When you have over-bloated your government, when you have over-bloated employees, when you have over-bloated payrolls, these are things that IMF talk against. That is why I say, let's get there with our homegrown policy.
Government is expected to conclude the IMF program at the end of this year.
And that's all for business this afternoon. Now to other stories. And Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta says the free SHS policy should have been targeted at a segment of the Ghanaian populace instead of it being a general policy. He indicated the policy should have been directed at only the poor who cannot afford free SHS. But in a fresh rebuttal, a key member of the NPP has insisted that the NPP promised Ghanaians free SHS, hence the policy must be free for all. In his tweet, Gabi Ochodako insisted that policy must not target a segment of the population and must not be discriminatory. Now let's take a look at the tweet from Gabi Ochidaku shortly. And it reads that NPP was elected on a platform of free SHS for all, and that is what it is and will be. Now the debate over means testing will nevertheless continue and should continue healthy. That's from Gabi Ochidaku. Now, joining me this afternoon via Skype is Dr. Prince Sama. He is an educationist, and we're going to talk a lot on this issue, the back and forth, and what he believes should be done. Good afternoon, Doc, and thanks for agreeing to speak with us. Now, do you still believe that we should go back and look at the targeting, something you've come up with over and over again? You've mentioned this, or it's too late to do that?
Well, I think that, good afternoon to your cherished viewers. I think that we have largely passed this stage. I have made extensive and copious writings on the need for targeting. But I think that if the state feels that they've got the resources to do it on the wholesale, then that's fine. Because the basis for doing the targeting is because we probably have financial difficulties to deal with. So that's fine. I think we have moved on. What we should do is to fine-tune the processes and make it work better. To that extent, maybe government might want to consider the feeding part of the free SHS, and if possible, I may withdraw that, because I think that even at the basic school, not everybody gets feeding. At the junior secondary school, we don't have anybody enjoying free feeding, and so at least parents can take that responsibility of providing food for their kids. No, so maybe government at this point going for it.
Okay, so you've come up with a track system by your organization. Can you walk us through that as against government's double track system?
Well, what this system does is basically to say that the senior high school Form 2 will be part of the tracking system, where they will be considered as the first track. And so, if you look at the diagram that I have shown, when school reopens, the SHS2 track A will be in school. They will spend 81 days, and then the SHS1 track B will be also in school for 41 days. And then when they leave for holidays, sometime in November, the second batch will also come to school and stay for 80 days. But SHS2 students will then go on vacation, thereby creating more space for the SHS1 track E to come back to school. And this is how the sequence will be for the remaining semester. So I have tried to take the data from the presentation made by the Minister for Education to the GES Council, that is already in the public domain, and plug them in to see how this can work in terms of practical implementation.
Now, aside reaching out to the media, have you been able to interact with relevant stakeholders? Have you shown this to them, and what has been the feedback?
Well, you know that within the education space, we know ourselves, and so almost everybody who is a technical person within the education sector, I have a very good relationship with them. So we do communicate among ourselves in respect of some of the suggestions that I have made.
And has it been a good feedback? That's what I mean.
Yeah, exactly. I will not be different from what I have done. There may be some slight difference, but I won't see anything entirely different from what I have done so far.
Well, thank you so much for your time. Dr. Prince Sama is an educationist and founder of the Institute of Education Studies. This is still Midday Live. Next, we have sports with Nana Kujafre. Do stay. Time now for entertainment. And Ghanaian high life artist Kwame Zagi, known in private life as Nana Kwame Ampa, has expressed his displeasure over the manner in which young artists bestow on themselves titles, people posing or supposing that they are better off than their pioneers in the industry. He believes that the action is one that denigrates veteran musicians.
He started his musical career as a member in Mensen band at Dansoman, after which he started recording his own songs. In 2010, he was signed on to Paradigm Entertainment, where he released his first album, Nyankontong. A year later, his album was nominated on Foresight Music Video Awards. Currently, he is the reigning Best Male Vocalist at the Central Music Awards. As a high life artist, Kwame has performed on many platforms and staged with most of the prominent musicians like Ochame Kwame, Jeduble Ambuli, Papa Yankson, and others. His current song, Toto Fefe, has sparked a lot of controversy, as some artists like Kumi Guitar believes is directed at them.
The Toto Fefe song is not going to anybody. I didn't direct it to anybody, but I made mention the names that people are calling themselves. So I picked from what they are saying.
In an interview with Justice Mensah, Just the Two of Us hitmaker expressed his displeasure on the self-acclaimed titles circulating in the industry.
I wasn't really happy about the young folks calling themselves kings and names and gods and all that, whilst we have the likes of the A.B. Kentils, the Kodwe MPs, the Rexomas, the Amanzibes, and the likes who toil so much to bring high life music to existence. He calls himself high life Martin Luther King, but we have people like Nana Pedus that are great, that has a lot of albums, that has done so much for high life music. I feel like we are disrespecting them while they are alive.
He called on stakeholders in the industry to rather encourage young artists to work hard, as the high life genre is declining.
High life music is sinking. That's what everybody's saying. So we must encourage the young ones that are coming to work so hard. We shouldn't encourage that this is the king, or this one is doing this one is doing that. This one is the high life king or high life god.
Now to international news, and violence has erupted as millions head to the polls in Pakistan, with at least 31 dead in the worst attack, a bomb in the city of Quetta. Now, elsewhere, minor blasts and clashes between party workers left several injured and 2 dead. Opinion polls suggest the election battle will be between the parties of ex-cricket star Imran Khan and disgraced former PM Nawaz Sharif. And that'll be all for this afternoon. But before we wrap up, let's take a look at our headline stories again for this afternoon. And Gaming Commission destroys close to 200 slot machines in Accra. And on the international front, violence erupts as millions head to the polls in Pakistan, with at least 31 dead in the worst attack. My name is Wendy Lai. Thanks for watching and do have a lovely day.